Well, I hope in the last tape I convinced you to make your switch on customer groups there. Let's work with the easiest to close, most productive customer down the road. That's going to control your long-term success. And again, remember those 4 secrets: skills, habits, attitudes, choice of customers. And that's partly how we're going to show you how to double your income. In this next set, we want to get you more organized, because organized people have an opportunity to sell more cars. Just being organized won't make you sell more, but it'll sure give you an opportunity to sell more. We need to learn to use more of that 9-hour day than just the 3 hours that we're using. Now, we need to get you organized daily, weekly, monthly. We need to track the things that you're doing. And I got to talk you out of highball in your tracking sheet, and we'll cover some of that. But you got to start using real figures. You've got to find out exactly what you're doing so that you can plan better for long-term success. If you know where you are exactly, how many people you talk to, your closing ratio, and you forecast for next month, or your goal for next month is to improve sales by 2, I can show you how to do that. But you have to know exactly what you're doing. So let's take this step by step. The section we're going to cover is your monthly planning guide, but it's in your workbook, so you won't need your planner. On page 18, first thing we want to do is organize your month, your week, and your day. The blank there, number 1, is organize your daily schedule. Again, using this planner on a daily basis, I can't tell you how many people have called me and said, since we got on your planners, since we started being more organized, I've doubled my income, or my day goes easier, or life is easier, everything's rosy after they get started. Again, the hard part about getting a disorganized person organized is that little built-in resistance. So take it step by step. Some things you need to do on a daily basis, and we touched on some of these. It's time to go to work, obviously. By having a good daily plan, it'll make it easier for you to go to work. Some things that you want to focus on each day. Your appointments for the day. And working in a planner doesn't take you hours a day. If it's Tuesday and Bill Smith tells me he's coming back on Thursday, I turn over to Thursday in my planner, I write Bill Smith at 10 o'clock. And then I close my planner. That's all I need to do to use it. When I come in on Thursday, I open it, and it says Thursday. Bill Smith's going to be here at 10 o'clock. So we need to keep up with our routine appointments and to-dos. This is one of the most important parts of your follow-up system. A good follow-up system uses 3x5 cards, a planner, a computer, or the working prospect files that we have in here. Appointments for the day, routine to-dos. These are things you need to do on a daily basis. One of the most important things you need to do every day is you need to walk through the place and say, hey, how's it going? I call this a good morning walk through the dealership. You need to say hi to the mechanics, the lot men, the receptionist, all the people that you work with on a daily basis, all the people that you depend on to help you sell. You need to do your walk through the lot. You need to do that every day. You need to review some product information. You need to do that every single day, not just now and then. There's too much to remember. Now, if you invested 20 minutes a day reviewing product information, when would you find 20 minutes? How about during lunch? How about while you're eating your sandwich, instead of reading the paper or shooting a breeze with somebody, how about if you turned on a video and watched a video on one of those products that you have? Or thumb through a brochure with a highlighter and a notepad in your hand. You're going to want to do your follow-up with your working prospects. Anybody that you talked to yesterday, day before, we call that a working prospect. Thumb through your planner, see who needs to be called today. You want to follow up your sold customers. You want to get the selling information that we talked about. You need to, and hopefully you did that on your way to work. You just need to go to work. And we've got, most of these are check-off blanks in your daily plan. All you have to do is check it off when it's completed. And your other to-dos and things you want to accomplish, those would be priorities, just a to-do list. Pick up your laundry on the way home tonight. Turn over to page 19. There's 2 pages we're going to cover here. The first one is the first monthly page in your monthly planning guide. It's just a monthly calendar. Now, if you look there, it says fill in the date and your schedule. That first little arrow points up there. Assume Monday's the 1st. Write in number 1 there on Monday and write in your schedule. If you work a different schedule every day, the handy part of having your schedule in an easy-to-look-at place, if somebody says, I'm going on vacation, but I'll be back next Thursday, and we'll come in then. What time will you be here 2 weeks from tomorrow? Boy, trying to rummage through a schedule in your head and figure out what time you're going to be there may be a little difficult. Or you can look down at 2 Thursdays and say, oh, I'm going to be here all day. So you want to, as soon as you get this each month, fill in the dates and fill in your schedule. And you're also going to want to list any to-do items or other reminders. Like we've got down on the 22nd, Bill Smith's order car is coming in. That's a reminder that we need to be ready for that and watch for it. You've got your 2 mini calendars there at the bottom of the page. Simple stuff. I think everybody can fill this out. On page 20, your daily planner. Now here's one we want to spend a little bit more time on. This is half of it. When you open this thing up, it says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we're just looking at half of the page right now. Again, the first thing you need to do is date your weekly calendars, your weekly days. Again, today's date, 1/1, my shift, 9 to 3. Then you want to write down any to-dos or appointments that you have. Again, if Bill Smith or Mr. Jones is coming in at 9 o'clock, then another to-do you might put under that is clean up Mr. Jones' car at 8 o'clock so it's ready to show him when he gets in here. Pick up your laundry on the way home, call Alan. You put your normal to-dos in there. Your check-off items are below that. It says to-do today, good morning walkthrough, log today's activities and accomplishments, and everything else that we've covered. And you want to make sure that you do those each day. Working through a planner is a very easy thing to do on a daily basis. The key to effective organization with a planner is you got to keep the thing with you. When you go home at night, you have to take it with you. When you come to work tomorrow, you need to have it. And you need to look at it to see what you're supposed to do that day. This will keep you on track. Page 21, speaking of tracking, you've got to start tracking everything that you're doing in sales. And when I say tracking everything, I mean everything. If you mail out 10 postcards today, you want to track that. You want to track the response that you got from the 10 so that you can see what's working best for you. If you're mailing out 10 postcards every day and you're not getting a response, I'd suggest you stop mailing out postcards. But on the other hand, if you track it, I can guarantee you're getting a response. The only question is, what kind of response are you getting? Now, when we talk about tracking things and gathering information, you know that logbook that you guys fill out? Would you agree that, forget the logbook a second, would you agree that on an average day, you talk to 3 or 4 people a day? On a slow day, you probably talk to 0 to 1. On a busy day, you talk to 5 or 6 or 7 on a busy Saturday. Would you agree that on an average day, you're in this 3 and 4 range? That's what the average salesperson in class tells us. That's what I remember. On an average. Now, if that's true, say you're talking to 4 people a day, you work 25 days a month, give or take. Now, this is give or take. These are not exact figures. You're talking to somewhere around 100 opportunities a month. Is that right so far? Give or take. Now, when I say track, and you have to be honest and track everything, we know that we're talking to 3 or 4 people a day. Every day we talk to 3 or 4 people. We remember it. We know we're doing it. How come the logbook doesn't say 100? I believe the logbook says 46, or it may say 52. When's the last time your logbook of the number of opportunities you had in a month showed 100 people? I don't think it ever did. Now, a couple of reasons we do that. If we only show 50 people and we sell 10 cars, it looks like we have a 20% closing ratio. If we listed all the people, we'd only have a 10% closing ratio. So one of the reasons that we've been taught to cheat on the log sheet is to make our closing ratios look better. But you don't want to do that. What you want to do is find a method of counting people. Like a service customer. I asked you before if a service customer ever came on the lot, said, got a 2-year-old one of these, just wanted to look at your new models. You ever sold them a car? Of course. Now, all customers who wander through the showroom, though, we're probably not going to count every single person that wanders through. But you have to find a method, and you have to be consistent. Let's say you're not going to count everybody that just walks through and says, oh, that's nice. But let's count everybody that walks through and says, oh, that's nice. I got a 2-year-old one of these. Tell me about the new features on this one. We have to find a consistent method to count. You've got to find your real numbers here, and you don't want to highball yourself on this. The only person you're highballing is you. Now, 2A, first you need to know how many opportunities you had to make a sale each day, each week, and each month. How many opportunities? And let's say that you found out in a month's time you had 50 opportunities. B, then you need to track your selling activities. Now, a selling activity would be, this is opportunities. A selling activity would be presentations, demonstrations, write-ups. Let's say that you gave 30 presentations, demonstrations. Those are your selling activities. Let's say that you wrote up 20 people, and number C down here, you want to track the results of your activities and opportunities. So results, let's say that you sold 10 cars. Now that we have the information, we can do a lot of things with it. First of all, what's our closing ratio? What's your closing ratio? Talked to 50 people, delivered 10 cars. That gives you a 20% closing ratio. Now, I heard somebody say, yeah, but that's just of opportunities. It is. What's your closing ratio of presentations and demonstrations to sales? Well, it looks like that's 33%. What's your closing ratio of write-ups to sales? That one's 50%. Okay, now a little math quiz here. Using write-ups, next month You know that you're closing 50% of all the people you write up. You normally write up 20 people, and that gets you 10 cars. Next month, you want to sell 12 cars. How many people do you need to write up? You don't necessarily have to talk to more people or give more presentations, but if you want to sell 12 cars next month, you have to do something from here over differently. Either more people, more activities. I heard somebody say it, 24. 50% of 24 is 12. So if you write up 24 people, you'll get 12 sales. Okay, let's say you don't want to write up more people, you just want to do a better job of presenting and demonstrating. Okay, to end up with 12, using presentations, demonstrations, how many people do you have to present to? See, we got a 33% closing ratio. If we did 36 presentations times 33%, that equals 12 sales. So once you've tracked your activities, to get the results, it's just a math problem. That's why you have to be consistent, though. You can't fiddle with the numbers. You have to find a consistent method to keep up with all of the opportunities and activities on a selling day. Now we have a way to help you in their planner on page 22. Bottom right side of the page, this is your weekly summary. Your weekly summary, and there's a lot of figures in there. The bottom right side of the page, let's just look at where it says on the lot, the first column on your left. These are your opportunities. You had how many ever fresh ups, phone ups, outside prospects, dealership customers. Dealership customer, people ask, what's a dealership customer? That's somebody that came into the dealership for something other than a new car. They came in for parts, we sold them a new car. Or we at least gave them a presentation on a new car. And you get down the list, and then it says activities. What selling activities do we do? We had write-ups, we had demonstrations, presentations. It's unlikely you're going to give a demonstration without a presentation, so we'll count presentation demonstrations in there. And then it says results. And if you look at the example there, on Monday, you talked to 3 fresh ups, 1 phone up, 1 dealership customer, parts guy came up front. You had a repeat customer in that day and 2 B-backs. And how many sales did you make that day? Sold 3 cars. Or your total contacts was 8. How many sales? Sold 2 cars, made $560. Now at the end of the week, all you do is carry each daily total across and do some math and add them up. This month comes from last week. Whatever thing you had in last week there, you add it to this week, and that's called this month. So you're accumulating your monthly totals a day at a time. But these are easy. It's just, I talked to 1 of these, I talked to 3 of these, 2 of these, I gave 3 presentations and demonstrations, I wrote up 1 person, I sold 1 car and made $400. This is not backbreaking work. This is easy. And the information you're gathering is invaluable to your career, because with this information, you can completely plan what you want to do in sales. Turn over to page 23. Now, you were just out on the lot talking to people, whether they were service customers, parts customers, outside prospects, B-backs. Now you've got some working prospects. Number 3, you want to get names and addresses and phone numbers of every working prospect. You want to track every person that you talk to, name, address, and phone number. Now the information you're going to need on these is pretty obvious. You want to need the date. You need to source them. And the reason we want source here, there's some other tracking information we're going to have later. Where did this customer come from? Was it a parts customer? That would be called a dealership customer. Was this a referral from a friend of yours? That would be called a referral. Was this somebody you went out and met through your outside prospecting? That's what OS prospect means, outside prospect. You brought them into the dealership. Was it a B-back? You want to source it because when you finally sell it later, you want to be able to remember exactly where this customer came from so that you can target your marketing efforts or your selling efforts. Obviously, you're going to want personal information. C down there says their buying motive. You're going to talk to a lot of people before this person comes back. You don't want to forget what their hot button was. You investigated to find out their hot button was comfort and performance. So you circled C and P in that word space there on your prospecting sheet. Personal information, vehicle and trade information. Check the selling activities that you did. How far did you get into the sale? Log each contact by date, and you want to write a short note. That's one of the most important things. Every time you talk to these people, date your contact, short, sweet note. Don't write a letter, short note. Now on page 24 is an example of your working prospect list. You have enough of these pages in your workbook to keep you busy all month, and you need to start getting every person's name, address, and phone number. Again, logging their comments is one of the most important parts of this. Any questions? This is pretty easy so far. We haven't done anything that's difficult. So just take it step by step. we could not even cover this section. You could probably figure it out. But it's important. Page 25. My first 5 years I sold cars, we got vouchers. I don't know what you get when you sell a car. It had the customer's name, address, phone number, and how much money we made. As soon as I got paid on it, I threw it away. And for the first 5 years, I have no records of anybody that I delivered a car to. You don't want that to happen to you. Our long-term success is going to come from this group on the right, repeats, referrals, B-backs, so that we can double your income and double it quicker. We need to start keeping up with all of your sold customer base. Number 4, to gather even more information, you need to log every sale. Log every sale that you make. Now, we're going to do a quick log in here. We're going to list the date, the vehicle we sold, the customer's name, obviously, and our commission and bonus. And then we're going to start tracking some things with the customer. So turn over to page 26 and let's look at the sample. Your monthly sales log. Now, I got 5 or 6 lines in there. On 1/3, we sold a guy named Smith a car. It was a Tahoe. Our commission was $5.50, and we made a $100 bonus. He was a repeat customer. It was a new vehicle, and how he purchased it. We're going to track how they purchased it as well. Leased, finance, outside finance, or cash. And we'll talk about why we're tracking all of these areas in a minute. And then on 1/5, we had Jones. He bought a vet at $465 and so forth. Now, I put in a couple other things here because a lot of people don't know where to put their spiffs and bonuses. If you had a weekend spiff, look down there on 1/9, it said weekend bonus. We sold 3 cars on the 8th. We'll assume that was the weekend. We had a $300 spiff for anybody that sells 3 cars. So we would log the bonus in here as well. When you count up your money at the end of the month, you don't just count commissions, you count all the money that you made. If you made $3,000 for the month, and you sold 10 cars, regardless how much was commission and how much was bonus, you had all the money together, divide by 10, comes out to $300 a car. You want to know what you're earning per unit, including all the money. So log everything. Now, if you're also using the optional sales log phone book, that 3-ring binder, you want to log the additional customer information in that as well. And at the end of the month, you just add up each column, and it tells you how many ups you had that month that you sold, how many repeat customers you had that you sold, how many new cars you sold, how many used, and how many of them were leased, finance, outside financed, or cash. We also need a method to track. We're going to talk about goal setting in the next tape set. And with goals, we figure out where we'd like to be, and then we lay out a series of steps to get us there. We got to find a way to monitor your progress in these steps so that you know, am I on track or am I off track? Am I ahead or behind? Page 27. To stay on course with goals, at the end of each day, you want to track your progress. Now, this is going to be a lot easier than it sounds. We're going to track your progress. And this one's pretty simple. In fact, turn over to the example on page 28. You can see in the example there, the chart range goes from 1 to 22. Our goal is at 18 or whatever. We draw a line at our goal line. If our goal is to sell 18 units this month, this is on the units, and you see the bottom 1, 2, and then 30 and 31. Those are days of the month. Now, you can either track working days or you can track all the days. Your goal is 18 cars. Let's say you're going to count all the days. You draw a trend line. It ends on the 31st, and this is where you need to be each day of the month on your way to your goal. At the beginning of the month, you're at 0. You've got to sell 1 car, 2 cars, 3 cars, 4 cars, 5, 6, 8, and all that. So every time you come in and you sell a car, if you sold 1 car on the 1st, you make a mark here. If on the 2nd, you didn't sell any cars, the mark stays there. You didn't have any forward advance. On the 3rd, you come in. You sell 3 extra cars, 1, 2, 3. Then the dot goes up here. Now you're above where you need to be. This trend line will tell you exactly where you need to be each day of the month. And as you can see in the example in the book, the idea is to keep the trend line above. The idea is to keep your sales above the trend line. If your sales are down here, that's bad luck. So we want to make sure that they're always above where you need to be. And that way you'll reach your goal and probably exceed your goal. You can use this chart or a chart like this for almost anything you're trying to track, any goal that you set. In the book, each month we want you to track numbers and we want you to track your income goal. And again, chart it on a daily basis so that you can see whether you're ahead of schedule, behind schedule. And you can see in there from the 10th to the 17th or 18th, we took a vacation. That means we got a flat line all the way across. Nothing changed. When we came back in, it started moving again. Do this every month. This will only take you a few seconds to set up. That's our daily progress. We also need to track our weekly progress. Page 29. Each week you want to fill out your progress report and find your monthly projections. The trend line told us where we were on a daily basis. We want to find out each week where we're at for the month, and where, if we keep doing what we're doing, our rate of travel, if we keep doing what we're doing, where we'll be at the end of this month. So number 6, your monthly projections. Now the information you're going to need for this weekly report, you need 5 bits of information. You need your total contacts to date, all the people you've talked to date. Number 2, your total presentations and demonstrations to date. Number 3, your write-ups to date, your sales to date, and your income to date. Let's take a look at the weekly progress report on page 30. Now, I'm not using week 1 in the example. Look down at week number 2. Number of contacts. We had 16 contacts this week. Number of presentations. We had 12. Number of write-ups, 9. Number of sales, 5. Our income for the week was $12.50. Now it says plus MTD. That's not a music video station. That's month to date. So 16 plus 12 from last week, 12 plus 9 from last week, which gives us our total month to date. So we had 16 contacts this week, 12 last week, 28 for the month. Divided by 14 days worked equals 2 per day as far as contacts. Now we've got to write in the number of working days we have for the month, and that'll stay consistent all the way through this. 22 working days means we're on track to talk to 44 people. Now, if you normally have to talk to 50 people to get your 10 sales and you've got a goal of 12 cars, and at this rate, your rate of travel is only going to get you 44 people, you're in trouble. So this will give you, on a weekly basis, whether you're ahead of schedule or behind schedule. If you're going to do it based on numbers of people at a 20% closing ratio, you need to talk to 60 people to be at 12 cars. Right now, we're only at 44, so we're behind. So you'll do that through contacts, presentations, write-ups, sales, and income. And the examples are in the workbook. At the bottom of the week 2 there, it says, I'm ahead or behind. You need to check off whether you're ahead or behind. And then it says, and my plan for this week is too. What are you going to do to catch up? If you're ahead, what are you going to do to make sure you stay ahead? Don't prop your feet on the desk and sit there just because you're a little ahead. If this was, you're on track for 64, don't lay down. Work harder. Let's do all that we need to do and then some. And all that takes is practice. Now, we've had a daily progress report was a trend line, a weekly progress report to tell us what we're on track for. Now let's look at a monthly summary at the end of the month so that we can see how everything ended up. This is kind of where the dust settles. Number 7, at the end of the month, summarize everything that you've logged. You've logged things in your weekly summary. Remember, you had 2 ups today, 1 outside prospect, and you added them together, and you had 24 prospects for the week. Then you had 48 prospects for the month, or whatever it was. Number 7, we're going to ask you to summarize. Just go through and collect all the numbers that you've gathered. Now, the information from your monthly summary. We want to now learn exactly what's going on in our selling career. This will make it a lot easier to improve sales, whether it's double or triple or 10% more. Number 1, we want to learn our closing ratio. And again, if it's 20%, right now, it's nice to know. We want to also know, let's say our closing ratio, let's say that we got a little bit better at this. We talked to 50 people. Our closing ratio is 40%. So 50 people, 40% closing ratio, we sold 20 cars. Let's say that we also made $5,000 on those 20 cars. So we know how many units we sold, and we know how much money we made. How much money did you make per unit? Well, that's pretty easy. You divide 20 into 5,000. I think that comes out to, I hate to do math. It comes out to somewhere around $250 a car, if I did my math right. You also want to know the value of each contact. This is how many units we sold. This is how much total money we made. This is the average per unit. What was each one of these contacts worth? You know, a lot of times we forget that we're paid for everything we do. When we finally get the voucher, we get the voucher for it, but we're actually paid for all of these too. What was each one of these 50 contacts worth? To do that, divide 50 into the 5,000, and each one of those contacts was worth, what is that, $100? That's good money. That's not bad money for talking to people out on the lot. So we want to make sure now we know that next guy that walks on the lot doesn't look like a buyer. I don't know how to tell you, but he's worth $100. And if you do a good job with him, he's more likely to turn into this $250 voucher. So we want to start gathering information on everything that we're doing. Not just what we sold and how much we made, but how much we made per unit and what each one of these contacts was worth. Number 2, your percentage of sales by customer type. Let's take a look at that too. Percentage of sales by customer type. If I sold, I'll just do math off the top of my head, sold 20 cars. I sold 10 cars to walk-in traffic. That means 50% of my business came from walk-in traffic. If I sold 5 to repeat customers, that means 25% came from repeat customers. If I sold 1 to an outside prospect, 5% came there. If I sold 4 to somebody else, another 20% there. Adds up to 100% of my business total. Here's the breakdown of my business, though. It's where I got the business from. Now, why is that important? Well, let's say that you got 50% of your business from ups. We know that we made $5,000. You got 50% of your business from ups, but you only made $2,000 on the 10 walk-in customers that you sold. On these 5 repeat and referral sales and only made 25% of your sales, you made another $1,500 over here. Now, which group is better based on what we know? Is it better to sell 10 at $200 apiece and make $2,000, or sell 5 at $300 apiece, or whatever that comes to? I would prefer to go with this. This sounds like these are worth $300 a piece. These are only worth $200 a piece. So where should you focus your efforts? We said on that other page a while ago, your best prospect is your repeat referral customer. I can guarantee you that when you do your math on these, our average person in our 3-day class, we do this as part of a homework session, and the average person tells me that it's worth about $150, $160 more to do business with a repeat customer. Well, we need to know this breakdown so that we can set a goal to get this 25%. Since they're much more valuable, let's set a goal. Let's get this to 30%. After we get it to 30%, let's get it to 35, and then to 40. Let's make this our primary source of business, but that takes good, clear goals, and you have to know exactly where you're starting from. Number 3, your averages and percent of sales by type of vehicle and type of sale. Remember we were tracking lease, finance, outside finance, or cash? If you're making all your money off leasing, should you do more or less leasing? Common sense, set a goal to lease more cars. Same with new or used. Some of us are really good at new, some of us are really good at used. Find out where you're making your money, focus more in that area. Your current average in all areas. Current average. What's current average? Who knows? You guys have been reading the newsletter for years. What's a current average? You're right, it's just your last 3 months. If you sold 18 cars 3 months ago, you sold 20 cars 2 months ago, and you sold 16 cars last month. You add all those together, 8 and 6 is 14, 54, divide that by 3, and that equals how many cars? You're not a 20-car person, you're not a 16-car person, you're an 18-car person. It's important to use current averages, because if you use long averages, let's say that 6 months ago you sold 10 cars, and 5 months ago you sold 10, and then you sold 10, and the last 3 months you just went crazy and sold 25 cars a month. If you're doing a long-term average, 25, 75, 85, 95, 105, you divide that by 6, I think that comes out to somewhere around 17 cars. That's making you look bad. You're not a 17-car person. You're a 25-car person, trapped in some 10-car numbers back here. This is history. This doesn't count anymore. And if this was 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 4 months ago, in the last 90 days, you're still not a 17-car person. Now you've become a 10-car person. You need to have the accurate figures to work with. When we talk about goal setting a little bit, you've got to have a starting figure, this current average, and then you want to look 1 year into the future. If I could get you to just look 90 days in the past, 12 months into the future, you can get rich. But you got to have the figures, and to do that you have to track. Then you also want to know your 1-year projections in all areas. Under number 4 there, it says your current averages and your 1-year projections. Let's say that you made $32,000 last year. You're not happy with that. You wish you'd have made a lot more. But right now your current average is $5,000 a month. That means in the beginning of last year you didn't make much money, but now you're making more. But that still only ended up at $32,000. Some people might throw in the towel. They say, I only made 32 grand last year. I'm getting out of the car business, going to truck driving school. Well, it'd be a shame to do that, because if you looked at what you're doing now and you projected that out, if you keep doing what you're doing in the next 12 months, I don't care how much you made last year, in the next 12 months you're going to make $60,000. That ain't bad. This is not that good. This is starting to get really good. That's why a current average is so important. I see too many people get in and out of the car business because they didn't make the money That first year they thought they should, and never dawned on them to take a look at where they were right before they quit. It's just, well, I didn't make any money, I'm out of the business. Gather the information, it'll help you a lot. The sample page, and this is the one that you're going to look at and throw up. Page 32, this is easy. Take it step by step. When the tape is over, slow this thing down and look through these. Let's just take line 1. Remember, this information is already gathered somewhere else, from your daily summary to your monthly sales log. This month on the lot, I personally talked to 50 total contacts, sold 20 cars, earned $5,000, had a closing ratio of 40%, an average per sale of $250, and a value per contact of $100. And then you're going to do that with each group. How many walk-in customers did I have? How many phone prospects did I have? Number 1, and it's the same things we just talked about on the previous pages here on the flip chart. Number 2 is your percentage of sales by customer type. Number 3, by type of sale, type of vehicle. And number 4 is where you find your long-term projections. You need this information to help you control today, next week, next month, and to get to this double we keep talking about. Now at the end of the month, page 33, there's another thing you want to do. This is called an end-of-month self-review. Number 8, you want to do a self-review at the end of the month. This isn't as much a review of numbers and what you did, but this is a review more of what you did, your attitude, your skill level, and things like that. The information from your end-of-month self-review. You want to rate yourself in each area listed. In fact, turn over to page 34 and let's look at the actual page. Page 34. Top of the page, it says this month I'd rate myself from 1 to 10. Remember that rating we were talking about before? We're going to do some of it on a monthly basis. And 1 is low, as 10 is perfect in the following areas. And again, please try not to highball yourself. Your appearance this month, your attitude this month, your confidence level this month, your enthusiasm this month, your work habits this month. That first line is almost more important than your closing skills this month. You know, if you come in with a low confidence level, hardly any enthusiasm, your attitude stinks, good luck. You're going to need a part-time job somewhere. You're going to have to deliver the papers in the morning to make a living. Number 2, this month I did a good job of. Write down the things you did well. And there were a lot of things you did a good job at. Make a list of them. Number 3, and this is where we want to start evaluating ourselves and be a little more critical. This month I could have also done what? What could you have done this month that you didn't do to help you sell more cars and make more money? Remember, we're trying to develop a career here. Number 4, next month I will. What commitments will you make and what things will you do differently than you did this month? Now at the bottom of the page you have an end-of-month management review. Your manager is going to want to go over this with you in your one-on-ones at the end of each month and your goal-setting sessions next month. And they're going to rate you compared to the rest of the group. Were you below average, average, or above average? And logically, which group do you want to be in? The above average group. And they'll give you comments and some suggestions. Page 34. Now this isn't in your planner. This is in that optional phone book tracking planner that we talked about before. But you can do this on your own if you don't have the phone book. That's not a big deal. Number 9, chart everything that you do so that you can see what's happening to you personally. Chart everything that you do. You just look at a bunch of numbers there on the board. How's this salesperson doing? There's a bunch of them up there. It looks like they're having an okay career. They're not doing as good as they were doing. Still selling a few cars. You'd have to get a calculator out and do a lot of math to figure out what's going on, or you can put this in picture form. We've got 16 cars, we've got 14 cars, we've got 16, we've got 13, we've got 15, we've got 10, we've got 8, we've got 12, and we've got 7. Now, at a glance, what can you tell about this salesperson? Yeah, they're getting worse. Their highs are getting lower, and their lows are getting lower. Now, on charting, if you didn't do anything in this entire program except chart your sales, you could almost double your income. And let me show you a little trick with charting. Once you chart yourself, what you're going to see are patterns. You have your good months, bad months, whatever it is. Now, as you do your current average, let's say that this low range here is in the 6-car range, this high is in the 16-car range, but your average is somewhere around 11 cars. That's your average. If you want to improve your sales, almost everybody worries about having a record month up here. Got to have a great month. Got to do 20 cars. And when I say this, take it lightly, but forget about 20 cars. 20 cars isn't the problem. That's not what's holding you back. These are what's holding you back. If you want to improve your sales, quit worrying about the good months and take out the bad months. Just stop having bad months. If your average is 11, there's not a reason in the world for you to have less than an average month. You let the 6-car month happen. So stop having 6-car months. If you eliminated everything below the 11 line, wouldn't your average go up? I guess it would go up somewhere around 14 cars. And what you'll notice is that once this is your bottom number, your top numbers keep going up too. So then you find your average, you eliminate everything under average, and you find your next average, you keep working sales up from the bottom. Work yourself up the ladder from the bottom up. People are trying to go from the very top and pull themselves up with that. The top will happen. Just stop having those bad months. Stop these, and you'll have more and more of these. You also want to look for trends in your chart. A trend headed this direction is really bad luck, so you don't want to do that. We want our trends to be in the positive direction. Headed north, not south. And charts are real easy to keep up. Basically, you got to draw one dot and one line each month. So again, not backbreaking work. I would also chart my sales. I'd chart my gross. I'd chart new. I'd chart used. I'd chart almost anything I could come up with. Page 36 is another, and it's a very simple page. And this may seem like a minor thing. You know, you take a lot of money out of your pocket each month for coffee for customers, candy, sandwiches, a couple bucks for gas here and there, and you don't really notice it. Part of becoming more successful is making money. The other part's keeping it. Now, this is a real, page 36, track your selling expenses. Real simple, real easy to use tracking form. We've even identified account codes. Now, these are not IRS account codes, but your accountant will be able to figure out what category these come from. Almost anything you spend money on, if you bought this tape set for yourself, part of it is a write-off. Part of it is a business expense. If you spend a quarter for a cup of coffee for a customer, part of that is a business expense. You buy a pen, part of that's a business expense. So start writing down everything. Let somebody smarter than you and me figure out whether it's deductible or not. But you'll be amazed, if you keep this up for a year, you'll find that you're spending thousands of dollars. Let's see, if you work 300 days a year, if you spend any more than $3 a day, you spent close to $1,000. And you'd be amazed at how many thousands of dollars we spend maintaining our sales in the car business. Now, we've tracked everything. We found out where we are. The next thing we need to do is forecast what we're going to do the following month. We just completed this month. Now, in your planner, your forecast is the first page, but we had to go through and identify what we were doing. So now we've done all that. Now it's time to forecast for the following months. Number 11, it's time to forecast. We've got 2 pages on forecasting in your planner. They're your first 2 pages. We're covering them last because you had to gather the information. Page 38 and 39. Take a look at page 38 first. Some things that you want to do when you forecast. In most sales meetings, we normally just sit down and do some wild guesses. Manager says, how many cars can you do this month? I don't know. I did 8 last month. How about 30? And then we come up with all these wild and crazy numbers that don't get you anywhere. Let's find a way to come up with some realistic numbers that we can use to control our success. Step number 1, your current averages. A through E, just write in your current averages. You've collected those in other places. A, B, and C, you'll fill in from your monthly summary. D and E, you pick up those from your weekly summary. There's your current averages on what you're doing in units, average per unit, closing ratio with contacts, presentations to write-ups. You need that information. Number 2, when you're projecting what you're going to do for the month, you want to write down things you already have working coming into the month. In the example here, I've got 2 order cars that are coming in. I've got 3 checkouts, and I've got 4 hot prospects that I'm working from last month. So going into the month, I already have 2, possibly 9 sales. Now, all those checkouts and all those hot prospects may not come to term, but if you knew what percent did, you'd know that if I've got a 50% closing ratio on hot prospects, I'm going to get 2 of the 4. So you can start to accurately project what you're going to get through the effort you put into it in the past. Step number 3, plan for lost selling time this month. If you're going to take a vacation, after our 3-day class, we survey people and they send back their cards, and now and then somebody will write, I took a vacation. That's why my sales were down. Sales don't have to go down because you take a vacation. Activities have to be maintained. If you talk to 50 people, 30 presentations, 20 write-ups, 10 sales, and you're going to take 5 days out of your month, sales don't have to go down by 20% and end up at 7. All you have to do is make sure that you talk to 50 people, but you do it in a shorter time frame. You still talk to the people. Another little tip on vacations. if this is your month and you're taking this section out of your month, it's really not the vacation that hurts you so bad. You have some carryover and somebody sells a car or 2 cars for you here while you're gone. And you get a half deal for them. The problem is when you come back, you have this dead time because you didn't do anything back here to create some activity into this section of your month. Just a tip. You know you're going to take a vacation here and you do a normal newsletter mail out or something with your follow-up, or you mail out 500 postcards or mail out that GMAC list on lease expirations or whatever. Mail out that list to 500 people and mail it the day you go on vacation. Takes the mail a while to get there, response is a little bit to hit. By the time you get back, you'll have working prospects. You'll already have messages and people on the lot from the effort that you put in right before you went on vacation. So you don't have to have a bad month just because you had a vacation. You just have to plan for it a little bit better. That asks you to factor in your missing days. Step number 4, your unit and income and activity goals. This month I will earn. Now this is a little different. It says I promise. This is what you're going to promise yourself you're going to do. You can have these highballs if you want to. This says I'm going to earn $5,250. If you'd really like to earn $8,000, that's fine, but you're going to promise to do the things it takes to get you to $5,250. I will deliver 22 units. I promise. You may want to sell 30, but that's fine, but you're going to promise to do 22. Your goal should always be higher than your current average. Don't ever let yourself set goals below average. To the right of that, it says end of month results. And you're also going to have your activity goals there on number 3. You need to write down what you're going to do. You're going to do some mail outs. You're going to contact some repeat customers. How many prospects do you need to talk to? There's where you need to plan in the numbers, and you get that information from your summary. Page 2 of your forecasting sheet. Step number 5, your other goals for this month. These are other things you'd like to do. I'd like to be number 1 this month. I'd like to pay off my motorcycle loan this month. I would like to win the trip to Hawaii this month. Those would be other goals. You got your unit goals, your income goals, your activity goals, and then you have the other stuff you'd like to accomplish. Number 6, the areas I want to improve in this month. If you're going to double your income, you'll either double it next week, you'll double it next month, or 6 months from now, or a year from now, or 5 years from now. But you're going to need a plan step by step to get you there. And that's going to require that you improve in all the areas. So write down the areas that you want to improve. I want to work smarter. I wanted to give better presentations. Number 7, specific skills you want to work on. Remember, 30 days of skill. Number 8, the other things I'd like to do this month. The other things I will do this month to sell more cars. If you've got a regular newsletter that goes out, schedule that. If you want to advertise in a local business magazine or a local newsletter, make a note of that. And again, on your forecasting, you've got a management review at the bottom of the page. And on these pages, if it says at the top, make a copy for management. After it's filled out, give a copy to your manager so they can track what you've done for the month. Any questions on your planner? Does it seem like if you actually did all that stuff, if you've never done any work with a planner, that might seem like a lot of work in the beginning. Try to remember at the end of the day, you may keep up with your information on the back of a business card. Let's see, on the lot today, I talked to 2 ups, I had 1 outside prospect, took a phone call. At the end of the day, you sit down before you go home and you just fill in the blanks. This is not a time-consuming thing. If you got an appointment for Thursday, you turn over to Thursday and fill it in. At the end of the week, you summarize to see how you're doing. You make a little dot on your chart there for your daily progress. Your weekly summary tells you what you're projected for the month. Your monthly summary tells you what you're projected for the year. When we come back, the next tape, we're going to talk about goal setting. Now that you have the tracking information, I can show you how through goals that you can double your sales and double your income. So as soon as the class is over, thumb through this planner, take a look at it, ask your manager questions, you guys talk back and forth, write down the 3 most important things you got out of this program, and I'll see you on the next tape set, and we'll talk about goal setting.